Hey, what's up, everyone? Thanks for joining us today. Just give the customary minute or two to let a few people pop in, and then we'll get it kicked off. Alrighty, we'll get going here. As Bobby kind of mentioned in the you heard week 9 chat, he has been rugged by his current location, but he's going to be going back to where he normally resides real soon. So he'll be back on audio and back with everything operating as usual real soon. So kind of with that, we'll do a quick around the horn for people we have on the call today, and then we'll get right into this week's episode. So with that, I'll turn it to AE.
Hey, Eric, what's up? Thanks for tuning in again.
Guys, it's Wally. Happy Friday. Those in the UK and into football, you've got England versus Scotland, so come on, England.
What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. I'm just gonna have to go Scotland. Sorry, Wally. Good to be here. Thanks for joining, guys.
Oh man. Alrighty. Well, let's get things kicked off and get right into it. So I guess the first major thing we'll touch on for the week is the Cosimo X sort of partnership there and having that backing. So getting the backing from them obviously be kind of huge for us in facilitating the onboarding of institutional capital and really contributing to that long-term vision, and we'll tie in how that kind of relates to the tokenomics later on. That'll be something that we'll sort of close the loop on at the end and leave you with that. So obviously, a real exciting time and kind of exciting development and getting some validation of what the vision is kind of at a key time when it seems like not much has gone right in the broader market, but getting that recognition and a partnership that should pay dividends over time as we continue to roll out the key product in V3. So um, with that, I'm just going to start on sort of the tokenomics picture today, move into kind of the improvements coming more near term in era two, and then sort of what that long term vision is, and then tying it into that sort of recent development. So kind of today, the main things, as everybody probably knows, that you can kind of do with the token or staking and liquidity provision. We have great tutorial videos that Mr. Mister has been behind on the YouTube channel if you're brand new and want to check those out. So those are great resources, and just overall right now we're more or less kind of in a pre-launch environment, where you just want to kind of farm as many tokens as you can, really, just for that sort of slice of future cash flow and future yield farming profit, future yield farming revenue, and then also obviously the great harvest is another great incentive there. The current situation is, we're basically sort of basically paying people to kind of use the vaults as sort of a proof of concept and prove that we can operate at scale of millions of dollars in TVL, and continue to operate sort of securely and efficiently, and take the step toward building the Lindy of the project, and build a strong reputation. So that's sort of kind of where we're at today, and I think I forget who it was, but somebody dropped in price discussion today. They dropped something along the lines of like comparing our market cap to a Celsius, and it just shows the relative price disparity there, and how much potential we really have, and kind of how lucky we are to be in this sort of pre-launch type of environment, and just looking to farm as many as we can. So that's sort of the things today, and then kind of moving into near term improvements in era two, looking to implement gauges. We've mentioned that a few times, and that will obviously be a huge lift for our tokenomics. I mean, just to give you a little bit more background on that, like this is a really proven model. Like CRV, the token CRV over at Curve Finance. I mean, their emission schedule is what you would probably define as like hyperinflation, but they've actually retained value and retained value versus Bitcoin, for months now. And it's really a big result of a big output from this tokenomic design and the innovation behind it. So we're really happy to be implementing that and driving greater utility to the token because the token's integrated directly into the use of the vaults, as vault users will have an incentive to buy and hold the token and stake it, because they can vote to direct emissions to the vaults that they're currently using. And then also a bit kind of on the behavioral economics side. So like those that dump their rewards will receive less emissions. So vault users that dump their rewards will receive less emissions. So it sort of incentivizes the long-term aligned capital to stay like rotate into the vaults and maintain a larger share of the vaults over time, and sort of that uh, more speculative, like dumping capital to kind of just leave the vault slowly over time as they will earn lower yield than others. So that's sort of the idea behind it. And like I said, it's worked really, really well over at Curve. And just to provide a little more context there, like many have kind of remarked on the large MetaVault depositor that like the $30 million depositor that just had periodically been dumping rewards, and this improvement would counteract that because they're essentially going to be receiving relatively less rewards, and obviously their yield is going to be relatively lower, so they're incentivized to leave, whereas other more long-term aligned depositors are incentivized to deposit. So that's sort of a baseline improvement there coming in Era 2, in addition to that sort of added utility to the token as well. And then just more from a value accrual standpoint, like there's the time lock component of gauges, which will actually just essentially reduce the amount of supply that's actually circulating on the market. Because if it's locked, I mean, it obviously can't be sold if it's locked. So that's removing supply from the market. You have the Great Harvest, both the Merkle and then also the boost components as well, driving value accrual, and then also buyback revenue, which we obviously expect to be significantly greater in Era 2 with V3. Having the full suite of vaults and having vaults that require less emissions and less yield to be able to be competitive. So earning more from earning more in revenue per amount of emissions. So definitely makes more sense from a market fit standpoint. And then looking out a little bit further on the time horizon, something else to kind of mention relating to the tokenomics and the token is that we have obviously that insurance mechanism that we've talked about a few times, and how it planning to collateralize or backstop kind of the capital in the vaults, but having that come from vault users themselves, and really making that sort of market driven, as opposed to a lot of other projects you've seen them put that on stakers, like so the stakers of the native token to collateralize their product. And that's just not a great implementation, because basically what that forces is it forces you to sell your own token at the worst time, because like if an insurance event happens, it's not a good time, obviously, and so you have to turn around and sell your token, which is collateralized in the system. So that's the really nice part about our kind of planned implementation, and it won't put the onus on the token holders and stakers to do that. It will just be all market driven, sort of on like a tranching type implementation for vault users themselves. So it's kind of an advantage on that front as we look toward the midterm. And then kind of transitioning a bit more to the longer term vision. Kind of a common question we get a lot is, what is the plan after emissions end? And we've talked a good amount about, how emissions sort of serve as like bootstrapping the crypto native capital, proving that we can operate at scale, and sort of a bridge to the institutional grade capital, while those institutional grade features are being built. So just it becomes much easier to market something to those types of players when it has a lot of existing traction and proving that it's able to operate at scale. And so the emission phase and sort of bridge phase kind of serves to accelerate that and drive that sort of growth ramp and bridge. And as a result, many have seen, many have been like institutional capital, like you guys are a $15 million market cap project, a $10 million market cap project, like institutional capital. That doesn't make any sense. That's pie in the sky. It's not feasible. And obviously the traditional anonymous team concern. No one would ever trust them. So we've obviously heard a lot about that as of late, and I think just tying that back to the partner, the backing that we announced this week, and the backing, what that's going to do for us is basically just connect us to those pools of institutional capital and sort of be a bridge in that sense. And looking to have other institutional partners as well. The partner program, we should be announcing something on that next week. If things sort of go according to plan, that's when that's all slated. We had a little delay on the website side there, but that should be all ready to go. And those like partnerships, they and backings and connections, that recruits sticky TVL to the vault. So that's institutional capital that doesn't have the time or expertise to really understand what's going on in DeFi. They're just like, hey, we like these yields. These yields look attractive, and we want to make sure that we're putting it somewhere that's secure and that we don't have to worry about what's going on in the market. And so, we talked a good amount in the week 7 episode about the attractiveness of the current yields relative to traditional finance, even as we've seen yields compress in recent weeks as a result sort of the broader market deleveraging. But and we've also talked a good bit about risk adjusted returns and what that means. And we talked about that last week, which was a big value proposition for yAxis. And we discussed this in Discord and last week, and it really ended up being quite timely in the whole Titan situation that not all yield is built the same. So we're happy to be on the leading edge of security and really providing the features that these players are looking for, and sort of being set and forget for them in terms of a lot of peace of mind. So that's sort of the pathway and the picture to really attract that capital. And I think hopefully now it seems a little bit more reasonable and feasible, and it wasn't maybe as pie in the sky as people maybe once thought. And so playing into that vision and what that sort of means for token holders is that the long-term vision here is pure just DAO directed management of the vaults. And the stakers are going to govern the vaults, and they govern the vaults in such a way that they're incentivized to effectively effectively govern the vaults and seek good strategies and attract capital, and govern them honestly and effectively to earn cash flow from this TVL. Like, it's a pretty clear incentive mechanism there, where it's you attract TVL, you earn a cut of the yield farming profit. And so, um, you know, as I mentioned kind of at the outset, like growing your stack now will enable you to earn a greater slice of this later. So that's sort of the end goal and the big vision. And um, you know, we sort of laid out a pathway to attract that type of capital in the long term. And V3 as well, something I mentioned about V3. So V3 enables much easier and more scalable adding and management of strategies. So that really, it's been somewhat of a limitation for us in V2, given the time and development resources pointed at V3. And that's definitely hurt our base yield a bit. And so it's definitely a huge opportunity for improvement in V3 to increase our base yield, increase revenue generation, and incentivize more active vault governance, and really ramp that sort of long-term vision of active vault governance by stakers, and then receiving basically incentives to continue to do that. So that's sort of the end game and the genius design behind it. And then we're just kind of trudging along the pathway to that point, and I think you're continuing to see each and every day things done to reach that. So and just to as well, just to kind of tie it up, like in classic, transfer and call fashion, like basically every edge case is being considered, like even on the 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 decentralized management of the vaults. People would say, oh, what about a malicious governance or these types of things, like these edge case security features, such as like the halt flag, which is meant to hedge against any sort of malicious governance as well. Like that's all being considered. So really just building a super secure, thoughtful implementation that's going to be a great base for us to use for the long term, and that's just that long-term end goal that, like I said, that we're just building to. And hopefully, with the, like I said, with the backing this week, it starts to make a little bit more sense. So with that, just gonna move a bit into the questions that were kind of asked in advance, and then we'll get to anything that's asked live. So Zemus asked, did you know 99 Bitcoins ruins people's 99bitcoins.com ruins people's lives? Sorry that 99bitcoins.com rugged you there, Z, on the quiz, but you've been a stud quiz participant to date, so looking forward to seeing you get back on track next week. And then Big Poppy asked a good question about what the snapshot or voting issue was. Will it impact anything else for the project? So, yeah, so a little small oversight on our side. It was pointed at the old token because we hadn't had any like kind of major votes as of late. So it's just like a small oversight that the development team was kind of head down on V3, hadn't really even crossed the mind. So but it was already fixed. You probably saw in the GitHub channel the other day. It was TNC already fixed it, so it's all set to go. And then obviously voting going on now, and we've had really active participation, which has been great to see. Like a ton of votes have been coming in on the coins, and the coin designs are amazing. And shout out AE for really spearheading that effort and coordinating that. It's been awesome. So. Um, Big Poppy asked the question about the name change from Yax to yAxis. I agree that yAxis sounds a bit more blue chip, and maybe a little less meme, although memes can be good. Um, so I don't know, honestly. I think it was more like needed to went with the token swap and needed some type of differentiation, but perhaps we can catch up with Bobby later, maybe a little bit. He might have a few more thoughts on that, but I think it was more or less wanted to sound a little bit more professional and cater into that cater into that institutional crowd, and then also just needing a differentiator with the token swap. Um, and then Big Poppy asked another question about something on here where the profiles of the development team are listed, curious about backgrounds, etc. We did a pretty decent episode on sort of the origin story, where we talked a little bit about TNC and sort of his motivation for getting involved with the project and things that he's sort of done to date, and then a little bit on Get Gouda there as well, and then a little bit on Vinrock. So I would check that out. I forget off the top of my head what week that was. I think it might have been week 5. I think it was. Yeah, it was week 5. So if you want to check out week 5, and then if there's anything there that you feel it doesn't really answer what you're looking for, we can definitely get you anything additional there. Steve B said, yeah, kind of timely here. With the recent issues that Titan and Alchemix have had, is there an opportunity to highlight how yAxis stands out and secures itself from somewhat similar problems? Yeah, I think there's definitely a huge opportunity there uh, to pitch sort of the security features, and that's something that we really want to make a big push around in the coming weeks. and something that's definitely a huge focus, because like I've been talking about over and over, is like the risk adjusted yield is huge. If you can really severely minimize the probability of like a principal loss event, that really means a lot in terms of an expected value or like a return profile that anyone that actually manages real money is going to be looking at and considering. So that's sort of where we really shine. And we have a fantastic security article actually from the OG, the old Ghost blog actually, that really goes through each and every sort of situation where other protocols had been exploited at the time, and how we were basically not exposed to any of those. And so that's something I've resurfaced a few times here and there. But definitely, I think could use a little refresh on that front and a little bit more of a push around that. So I think that's a great idea and a great thing to push us on, and make sure that we get that out there within the near future. So thank you for that. And then with that, I mean, that's so getting through all the questions here. So if anybody has any other remaining questions, feel free to toss them in, and then, if not, we'll wrap things up for this week. So I'll give it a minute, and then if not, appreciate everyone joining, and hopefully you all learned something this week, and again, sort of buying in and understanding and seeing that sort of long-term vision, and how this week was a huge step in that direction, and sort of a validation of all the work that's been going on kind of behind the scenes, and looking forward to being released in due time with V3 and all that. Alrighty, with that, I will let you all go, and everybody have a fantastic weekend, and thank you for joining as always, and you have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for
Nice
joining.
weekend, guys. Don't forget to vote on the coin contest if you haven't already.
Thanks, AE. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.